This is going to sound strange, but I really love forgotten books. There are so many magnificent books out there that get pushed aside by Vogues and then forgotten for no reason whatsoever. The Guardian Book Club this month is reading Ironweed by William Kennedy, a well-received, multiple award-winning and yet forgotten novel from 1983. Now, 1983 was not devoid of memorable titles. It was the year of Raymond Carver's Cathedral, as well as J.M. Coetzee's Life and Times of Michael Kay. Elfriede Jelinek published The Pianist, Roald Dahl finished The Witches, and my compatriot Hugo Claus wrote his masterpiece, The Sorrow of Belgium. Oh, and look at that, Jackie Collins published Hollywood Wives. Anyway, 1983 produced books that have stuck, and yet Ironweed hasn't, so where did it go wrong? Ironically, where did it go wrong is one of the novel's big themes. It is 1938 and we are in Albany, capital of the state of New York. Alcoholic bum Francis Phelan walks into town. Francis has a lot of history in Albany. He grew up there, he married there, he started a family there. Then a drama occurred, he started drinking and he left. It's been 22 years since he last saw his family. Tonight is Halloween, it's very cold, Kennedy writes, the wind was bringing ice to the world, and all that history is coming back to him. Literally, Francis is seeing dead people. Meanwhile, his girlfriend Helen is facing death itself. The supposedly benign tumor in her stomach is about to kill her. So we have alcoholism and poverty, shame and regret, dirt and death. It sounds depressing, and yes, it is gritty and unpleasant, but the same thing can be said about the day at the beach. So let's take another look. Ironweed has a pretty loose narrative. It takes place on the night of Halloween and the day afterwards, All Saints' Day. The characters go this way and that, trying to fulfill their most basic needs: food, drink, a place to wash, a place to sleep. And in the meantime, they talk. Or rather, they yak. It's yakking to fill that air, yakking to fill the time, now and then stumbling upon meaning, more often than not, without the characters realizing it themselves. There's 7 deadly sins, Rudy said. Deadly? What do you mean deadly? Francis said. I mean daily, Rudy said, every day. There's only one sin as far as I'm concerned, Francis said. There's prejudice. Oh yeah, prejudice, yes. There's envy. Envy, yeah, yup, that's one. There's lust. Lust, right, always like that one. Cowardice. Who's a coward? Cowardice, Rudy said. You know what a coward is? He'll run. Nope, that word I don't know. Francis is no coward. He'll fight anybody. Listen, you know what I like? What do you like? Honesty, Francis said. That's another one, Rudy said. It's like the ragman, a minor character in the novel, says at some point. Some people, they don't know junk. It ain't garbage. And garbage, it ain't junk. William Kennedy seems to revel in presenting us with a collection of junk and garbage and letting us figure out which is which. In the middle of the novel, 2 chapters stand out from the narrative. They could be taken out of the novel and read as separate short stories. In chapter 4, Francis stands in front of the house he grew up in. Flashbacks are layered on top of each other. He first sees his own conception, his own soulish body squirming into burgeoning matter, then his parents' marriage, then his own first sexual experience with the neighbor from across the street. You could call it the sex chapter, or a chapter about beginnings. Chapter 5 focuses on Helen, Francis' girlfriend. She is alone in a hotel room, she is dying, and wonders just how much of the mess that became her life is really her fault. It's a deeply sad chapter and a brutal examination of the balance between personal responsibility and plain bad luck. Helen admits, for instance, that she has done things that would make people identify her as a whore, but she quite rightly refuses to be identified by stuff that she just had to do. It's quite a philosophical question, really. Of all the things you do on a day-to-day basis, which deeds are the basis of who you are? After these chapters, the novel seems to run out of steam. Francis is briefly reunited with his family, but the scene is marred by sentimentality, confusing references to other William Kennedy novels, and worst of all, endless talk of football. Ironweed is a novel of lost people, lost causes, that seems to take place entirely in some sort of purgatory, an afterlife that is not quite heaven or hell yet. Hence the appearances of dead people. And after all, the book's motto is taken from Dante's Purgatory, so... And maybe then it's fitting that the book itself is in purgatory now, not quite in the hell of forgotten books yet, but certainly nowhere near heaven.
I had a kid named Gerald. He was only 13 days old when he fell and broke his neck and died. Geez, that's tough, Andy said. I couldn't handle it. That's why I run off and left the family. Then I bumped into one of my other kids last week, and he tells me the wife never told nobody I did that. Guy drops a kid and it dies, and the mother don't tell a damn soul what happened. I can't figure that out. You can't figure women, Michigan Mac said. My old lady used to peddle her tail all day long, and then she'd come home and tell me I was the only one that ever touched her. I came in the house one day and found her banging two guys at once. First I knew what was happening. I ain't talking about that, Francis said. I'm talking about a woman who's a real woman. I ain't talking about no trash barrel whore.
Honesty is most definitely a deadly sin, but I'm going to say this anyway. Ironweed is only partially a masterpiece, zoning in and out of greatness with some stunning chapters and also some fairly dull ones. Stylistically, it treads the same zigzag line with great dialogue, lyrical passages, but also, some kitsch. Like, for instance, and the word swelled like the mercy of his swollen member as it rose to offer her the endurant, erubescent gift of retributive sin. Surely that must have been a contender for the 1983 Bad Sex Award.